hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nostalgia Hour. Hello. Cheese It, hello, I see you. Thank you for highlighting that message. So Cheese It, Big Potato Shani, Meatloaf, Pandarai, Black Moon Rose rising up into the chat, and Solisco, thank you so much for the resub, you incredible human being, you. I hope you're all well. Welcome in. It is I, Soul. They call me Soul because I rise above, and welcome to my boudoir, this house that is decorated and is not stuck in time. No, because it's channeling? Yes, channeling and travelling through time. The torso on the couch. For a moment there, I thought she called me a tosser. I genuinely thought it was a tosser on the couch. No, the torso on the couch. Why are the Beanie Babies in the fridge? We might have to get to that a little bit later. What does that mean? But welcome into Nostalgia Hour, and welcome to my guest joining me tonight. It is the wonderful, the nostalgic, Nostalgia Tash. I haven't got Meatloaf's soundboard to give you a cheers, but I'll do this. Hello, welcome in. Thank you for joining me on this show. Let me explain what this show is. And there is your personalised shout out in chat there. Good times and good vibes. Tash is creating nostalgia in real time. Make some glorious moments with her. There you go, yes. Let me explain what this show is. This is the Nostalgia Hour, and I have welcomed my guest into my room. And you might recognise a few things that you do, maybe from your past, Nostalgia Tash, that you're surrounded by here. It's almost like you've walked into something that has been catered specifically for you. Yeah. Yes, it is. And in this show, we will be travelling back through time and checking out some classic things from all manners, from media to food to those toys that are currently in the fridge. Yes, we're going to travel through it all and take a look back in time, and maybe you'll join me and reminisce with us and enjoy the deep nostalgia that we all feel. Nostalgia Tash, you are our guest this evening. I couldn't think of anyone more appropriate to be the first guest.
In the name.
Yes, exactly. It was right there, and you were fortunate enough to say yes, which is fantastic, and then you had the cheek to say, I'm taking over the show.
Yeah. It's my hour. My name is in the show.
Right, yes. You can see why I'm slightly worried about today's show now.
Yeah.
For everyone out there who doesn't know who you are, please introduce yourself to the wonderful populace.
Oh geez, I should have prepped myself. I don't actually know what I want to say. My name's Nostalgia Tash. I am a Canadian that lives in the UK. I am also a streamer. We mostly craft. Every once in a while we play some nostalgic games, but I'm first and foremost a little craft goblin. Mostly of the cross-stitch and needle felting variety, but I love to talk all things nostalgia.
Yes.
My nostalgic era. 90s, early 2000s, that's my jam. That's where all my knowledge is accumulated from, and you will see depicted all around us.
I think we will definitely go back to that era for certain. Now, I have to, I think Big Potato caught it too. Craft Goblin?
Yeah, you know what it is? I think maybe that's a bit of a slip. I just feel like I'm in, my little sort of hobbity goblin mode. It's getting cooler out. I just want to, cover myself in blankies and just, I just like to picture, and my happy place is the forest. So crafts, forest, little goblin gremlin, little crafty forest gremlin.
And I love your new logo, which was recently revealed with it's the coffee, or is it tea? What is it?
It is tea.
It's tea.
Tea is my number one beverage of choice.
Unfortunately,
I have it with me today.
Oh, there we go. You see, there are a lot of coffee drinkers out there in the chat, I believe.
Oh, yeah, we have debates about this on my channel as well. We have some very strict coffee drinkers over in my chat, and we accept you for who you are, but you're wrong.
But yeah. But your tea, I have to worry a bit because there is a mushroom growing out of it.
Yes. Yeah. Not. To be fair, one of my favorite. I was gonna say bits of literature, I guess. One of my favorite cinematic universes is of the Alice in Wonderland variety. Nice. So you can interpret the mushroom coming out of the teacup however you would like.
I'm trying to think of one way now. and all I'm getting is I don't want to drink that. That's
Yeah.
But yes, flora and fauna seems to permeate your channel. I love it. I remember being taken to you. I believe I was with Citra Dolls, and
Yes,
you came
you
over with a
were.
raid, and I thought, oh hello, and you were very chatty. I like chatty people because I love coming to chats. I love coming into streams and talking and chatting with people. That's what I love more than anything else.
I have the best conversations with you. I love when you pop by chat because you always just ask just pointed questions that just set me off, you know? I feel like, you know, like I'm at a racetrack and then like you ask the question and it sends me off, and then, you know, 15 minutes later we're going.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. No, Tash is my go-to place for chill time before I stream. It really does actually settle my nerves. Honestly, I have a wonderful time there. We always up for great conversations, or seeing you build demonic libraries in The Sims. That kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah. That was inspired by recent adventures.
Yes, right,
it wasn't
it was,
demonic. It was a cult.
Yes.
There may be some demons, but that's in a very specific section of the occult library.
I saw you building that basement. Now, you do have many adventures. You have many adventures through the forests in the surrounding area with the lovely Shadow.
Yes. Yeah. I guess that's the like main facets of my personality is like nostalgic tea crafts and the fact that I'm an obnoxious dog mom. That is it. I did not want to become obnoxious dog mom. I was like, I'm getting a dog. I'm not going to be one of those like people who are like, this is my baby and like all that. No, definitely. He is my baby.
He is, yes.
He is. He's going to be 2 in January. He's a lurcher. We actually got him and we were told he was a Springer door. So we were told he was a Springer Spaniel Labrador cross.
Oh, right.
And if you've seen photos of him, Saul, you know he looks nothing like a Labrador or a Springer Spaniel. He, we took a DNA, we got him a DNA test because he kept getting taller and his face kept getting longer, and we were like, you are not what we were told you were. So yeah, he is like 76% Greyhound, 15% Saluki, and like 13% Whippet. So he's basically Greyhound, Egyptian Greyhound, and like tiny Greyhound.
I've said this to you, he reminds me of an old British gentleman.
Yes.
The whiskers, the beard, I don't know, just actually in
I feel like I need to get him some like little old man spectacles. I think it would just he'd look like a Watson. Maybe that's our Halloween costumes for next year is Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Oh, I love that.
I think he'd make an excellent Watson.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I don't know, the image of the pipe in the mouth was quite funny. But but yes, you do dress up the dog. You have matching outfits, I believe.
We do, yes, we do.
I can't wait to see this. I think you wanted to go as a ghost, didn't you?
We did, but I was too lazy to actually formulate any costumes this year. So he has a little, like, bat thing that goes on his collar. So he was still representing Halloween,
outfits,
but not.
But that's just a bit, I love that, because I was like, what, a ghost? What, you mean you're just going to stick a sheet on? You're not going to go the extra mile? I know, well, we're quite close to the time, you know, we ain't going to have time to actually get a costume ready. And now you're saying just cutting holes in sheets and throwing them over you was too much effort as well?
Well, I had to procure a sheet. I didn't want to cut holes in, you know, You didn't want
to cut holes. Oh, okay. No, fair enough.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, let me do the easiest Halloween costume ever. Oh, that's too much work.
All right, now we're going to get the show rolling here with our first trip down memory lane. I want to divert your attention, if I may, to the screen in front of you, and for you guys, I want to take a look at the screen over here, and take a look at this.
Perfectly preserved. Cool.
You'll love Quaker Instant Oatmeal Dinosaur Eggs. When you dig in, you'll watch the eggs hatch into dinosaurs right in your bowl. And the delicious brown sugar taste of Quaker Dinosaur Eggs is part of this balanced breakfast.
70 million years to make.
And we ate it in 30 seconds.
Quaker Dinosaur Eggs Oatmeal. Make breakfast an adventure.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever seen that advert before.
That's well, I dug deep for that one, didn't I? You've had that stuff before. Oh my. Okay. I've never heard of this. You can see we've got it on the top of the fridge up there. The Quaker Dino eggs. This was your food of choice that brings you nostalgia. Now, well, first of all, what is this stuff and why does it bring you nostalgia?
Well, so Quaker's the brand of oatmeal. Like, you can get Quaker products here. That's just like oatmeal in general. But I was thinking about this. Like, the dinosaur eggs, this is basically like, you know how Lucky Charms in cereal is basically an excuse to eat like marshmallows for breakfast?
Pretty much it. Yeah.
This is kind of an excuse to just eat like hard candy for breakfast. Like, the dinosaurs were like, you know how you get like little sprinkles that people put on cupcakes and things like that? Like, that's essentially what they were. They were just like pure sugar with like some melty sugar. But I think the reason why it's so nostalgic is like that period in time. I was thinking about this, like, dinosaurs and like dinosaur content was insane in like the 90s, early 2000s.
It was. Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this today. I'm like, I don't think dinosaurs have the same chokehold on childhood like they used to.
No,
so you had
agree.
The Quaker Dino eggs. Like, think about this. Okay, you wake up on Saturday morning and you decide that you're gonna have a bowl of dinosaur egg Quaker oatmeal, and you're gonna stick on some Lamb Before Time.
Lamb Before Time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you have like I was one who had big picture books with dinosaurs in them.
Right.
There was like museums that we would go to that like dinosaur bones. That was like one of the first things that like as a child you got like super hyper focusedly into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, me specifically, I never had the dinosaur phase, like fascination, but my best friend did. So he had a teddy bear, he had all the books, we would get to the museum for his birthday, we watched Land Before Time, we watched Disney's Dinosaurs, and then, before bed, Jurassic Park.
That's the other thing too, it was like not even childhood dinosaurs, it was like the Jurassic Parks of the world, it was the Godzillas.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
You remember Godzilla as well, like all that in the 90s, we were really into like reptile themed
Yes,
shiz.
very much so. It was very much, I suppose because we didn't know so much about them. It's sort of like, I suppose it was major discoveries that made dinosaurs seem not just a boring old thing that people of the religious kind hated. It wasn't just a debate topic. It was something that became more world-renowned through educational material, like Land Before Time. Like, even though they weren't necessarily educational and specific to detail, they introduced the history to a raid that just arrived. Hello, FPG, how you doing, FPG? Welcome in, mate. Welcome in. Welcome to Nostalgia. Welcome in. How was your stream? You weren't on for long. You're on for an hour. Chilling out. Hello. Thank you for the Fun Pro raid. I don't know if you pronounce the X Trocker. I'm not sure, but thank you very much, FPG. Go give him a follow, he's amazing. He did an hour, yeah. How you doing? Oh, I got it right. Hey, welcome in. We are here joined by the wonderful Nostalgia Tash as we go down memory lane and talk about all things nostalgic. And we're starting with these oatmeal dinosaur eggs and talking about dinosaurs in general. See, I had a bit of an issue because when I saw this come up and you said, dinosaur eggs, I was thinking, when I said nostalgic, I didn't mean Jurassic, right? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you didn't mean prehistoric.
Yeah,
that's before. Land before my time.
Yes, exactly. Brilliant. Land before my time. Fantastic. I think that I've never had these. Now, Quakers, in terms of oats, I've never been a fan of eating oats, right? Or porridge. Oh. But I love the smell of it.
You're not an oatmeal person.
No, but I love the smell of it. My dad would have it, and I'd have the box, and I'd be,
Yeah. Well, I think the thing, too, that's also really cool about these ones is the fact that the eggs themselves sort of, like, melted away to then reveal the dinosaur. So I think that also, like, plays into that. You know, you used to be able to get those kits where you get, like, at the science center. I grew up near us, like, we had a science center in my hometown, and we went on, like, school trips all the time.
Canadian.
And you used to be able... Yeah, right? Yeah, Canadian science, whether or not. But you could get those, like, excavation kits, you know,
Right.
where it's like,
I
here's a
think I've seen
block
them.
of sand and like a chisel, and then you could just like go ham and then like unearth like a dinosaur skeleton.
Right.
So I think it just appeals to like that nature
Yeah.
as well, where it's like the desire to like unearth and discover, like, ooh, what dinosaurs am I
Right.
gonna have melt in my oatmeal that I then.
Oh, that's just
know?
unboxing before unboxing was cool.
Yeah! Because it's not like it was all the same dinosaur, too. There would be, like, different colored dinosaurs. I can't remember if they were different shapes. But then, yeah, you would be like, oh, am I going to, like, what faction of dinosaurs is going to appear in my oatmeal? And then, because you know, dinosaurs get touted, you know, they're massive things. And, like, the T-Rex is, like, the ultimate predator.
Yeah, of
and so
course.
there's something a bit, like, badass about being like, I am consuming the top predators.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what
Oh,
I mean?
I like that. I
As
like
a
the roller
child,
coasters. Yeah.
you're like, I'm the T-Rex
Yes,
in this
yes.
situation.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wait, Dino Bath Bomb or Bong?
That
Let's be
sounds
clear.
incredible. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Wow. Is it the texture soul? I suppose so. I don't know. I mean, I've always had like Shreddies, Frosties.
So were you team cereal then?
Rice
As opposed,
Krispies.
you liked
Yeah.
your cereals cold, not hot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, cold, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, see, I don't even drink tea or coffee because I've never understood the want for hot things. I've never understood the want for hot things. I don't eat curry either. Like I don't like these all these notoriously hot things. I'm like, why would I do that to myself? I don't like spice, mild at best. No, not even that. No,
You're quintessentially British, is what you're telling me.
I'm already shaking. The thought of it. Oh my word. They have them as stocking stuffers. Oh my word.
That sounds amazing.
A bomb
They
in
do
your
that too.
stockings.
I know there's a phase like when you go to craft shows and there'd be people who would do like you would get soap and they do the same thing. They'd stick little toys in them. So then as you're like using the soap bar, then as it melts away and stuff, you then get a little toy. So I'm sure they do like the bath bombs.
Right.
I don't know. There's like a phase of like cool novelty kids soap. You know what I mean? Which is a weird thing. I don't know if maybe because like it's to encourage like bath time to be fun.
Yeah.
So it's like let's put toys in the soap so that kids are, you know, if I wash well enough, eventually I get a toy.
I suppose the idea is when it comes to those kind of market employees is that we assume the child is with the parent when they're shopping. So the more
Yes.
you appeal to the child, the more they'll be excited to do these things that otherwise
yeah.
might be considered mundane or boring. Or
Yeah, did you
somewhat
not? Well, you
unnecessary.
might not. You might not remember this, but I'm sure you have your parents not told of the tale where you're in the grocery store and you see a toy that you want. Your parents say no, and you have a meltdown, and the parents don't want to
Oh.
be embarrassed in the grocery store, so you get that toy.
Oh,
You know,
right, so-
at least if it's encased in soap, the parent feels a bit better
That's
about it.
true. That's true. For me, I never had that. But I do remember my niece once. We were in Woolworths. Talk about nostalgic,
Ooh,
yeah.
I was gonna say, that's old
Woolworths.
school, isn't it?
Bloody hell. And she said, "Oh, I like that toy up there." And then while we went around the rest of the store, she stayed looking at it, not transfixed,
Mesmerized.
until someone paid attention to her and bought it. But it was my duty to go and get her and bring her back and say, "Come on, we're leaving now." And so
Did you have to be the bad uncle?
I did. I was like, "She's not moving. Come on."
That's when you scoop them up and you go,
Yeah,
"That's it,
pretty
we're
much.
going."
Well, in the end, I just said, "You deal with her."
You're like,
But
I'm not
I
getting
I
paid,
ain't
so
got
I'm not
time for
dealing with
yeah.
this.
Now the Quakers were a bit like the Amish. Am I wrong with that?
I think so. I think the actual term Quaker is like a subset of like a Mennonite group.
Oh right. Okay.
Because I just remember there was this, it sounds really dumb, so there was a stretch of land, because we used to drive from my hometown to like the major city, and there was a section there that I remember my parents saying, "Oh, that's where the Quakers are." And so
Oh.
like I think there would be like farmers markets, and so I knew that they grew very good vegetables. So
Did
you
you-
like went to the Quakers for like good corn and shit.
Did you ever see in the news that there had been an earthquake somewhere out in the east, and you thought those damn Quakers again? No, just
No,
me.
thankfully, I
Just
knew
me?
the difference between a Quaker and an earthquake.
Might be just me. I never understood that. I never understood how like, they got a whole brand. Like I thought they
Yeah.
were meant to be like cut off from the world. I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, 'cause I don't know, because I'm wondering, because I know that, like, the dude on the top of the Quaker box, like, I assume he's dressed in traditional Quaker attire.
Right.
I'm not sure. Let me Google it.
Oh, we're getting live Googling here.
Yeah. Oh, I do
Meatloaf.
this all the
Let's
time.
meet
I'm
a
like,
Meatloaf.
I don't know.
You're the fact finder general. What happened?
Quaker Yeah. Oh, Quakers are people who belong to historically Protestant Christian set of denominations.
Oh, I see.
Known
So-
formally as the Religious Society of Friends.
Wow, the RSF.
Damn.
Religious
Yeah.
Society of Friends.
The Religious Society of Friends.
I think we all sort of want to be part of the last bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
I was like,
And
oh, I
it
wanna
looks
part
like
that
it
one.
looks like the Quakers, yeah, like that hat that the Quaker oatmeal guy is wearing, that seems very traditionally Quaker-esque.
Oh. Wait, Shani, why is Big Left getting pissy over there? What's going on there? What? Because he arrived too late to the fact? What happened there?
My thumbs are faster than
oh,
yours.
oh, I think we might have a replacement for A Matter of Fact, the TV show. He's upset. Oh, don't worry, Big Left, you're alright, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, you apparently didn't give him time to time. You didn't give him time to time. It's all good. So yeah, they've got. I like fun cereals. There's loads in the States. I mean, I think of like, American like cereals. I think like Lucky
Yeah.
Charms. Like they're all bright and colourful and like.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the UK, you guys, I don't know, because to be fair, the UK is much more strict on like the
Yeah,
stuff that you can put in your
it's true.
foods.
Yeah.
I know, like I'm sure all of the like labels and things. I know when you go into the American food section in the grocery store, a lot of the candy and stuff has a big sticker on it, being like the dyes are known to show hyperactivity in children. Like they full on like will put warning signs on the
Shit.
American candy
Wow.
at Tesco.
I wasn't allowed to eat
Um,
fun cereal as a kid. Oh no. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Even here though, I would say
That's
like.
to be fair though, your
Yeah.
parents were probably doing their due diligence because they're like 90% sugar. But as a child, you're like, I'm eating dumb lame sugar, like bran cereal. Like there's no, you know.
Mhm.
Would you rather have marshmallows or raisins in your cereal? You know what I mean?
Hey, now we have Lucky Charms and Trix oatmeal, and even snack cakes now
Ooh.
with cereals. No,
I've
cereal.
never. Ooh.
So they
Lucky
basically
Charm
just
oatmeal.
sugarized everything.
Yeah.
That's basically what they've done there.
Did you ever have? There was like the Sugar Crisp bear as well. I don't think Sugar Crisp was ever a thing here, was it?
Oh, I don't think so. No.
Can't get enough of that Sugar Crisp. Like they all had jingles, didn't they? Like all the cereal
No, they
jingles.
didn't. You made that up. No. That was
No,
embarrassing,
I
wasn't it?
didn't make
was
that up.
embarrassing, wasn't it? Yeah, no. No, we had slogans.
Yeah.
You know, snack, crackle, pop.
Yeah. I feel like Rice Krispies were the ones that were considered safe enough to come across the pond.
Yeah,
They
yes.
were like, you know, Rice Krispies don't have marshmallows or bright colored dye. They're just like they're puffed rice.
Right,
We will
yeah.
allow that across the border.
So you had this. You had this regularly.
No, this
Oh.
was like a fancy little treat.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's so. What was your normal? Did you say what you normally had?
I don't know what I was like. I'm trying to think I think I was mostly a cereal kid.
Okay.
Like we did a lot of that. I don't remember breakfasts as much as I remember lunches. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I do say though, my friends, like my childhood friends, tell me that we were the family that had all the good snacks.
Oh,
So I
you were that
remember
family.
somebody saying that like they always felt envious of
Hmm.
my household because they would come over and we would have like all the junk food and their parents wouldn't stock it. But then it was interesting because then we had a conversation about how this friend whose parents like never stocked the junk food, now that she's an adult and she can buy her own junk food, she can't she doesn't have like a limit, you know what I mean? Like she'll be like, oh my god, I
Right.
need to finish this entire
Yeah,
box
the whole
of
thing,
whatever.
yeah.
This entire box of cookies, because it's like I never had that as a child and now I crave that. Whereas for me,
Wow.
it's like I'll have a cookie and I
Yeah.
don't need to finish the whole box.
So we've become more balanced.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
interesting that it was seen at the time that like, oh, you have, you know, I don't know if you guys had like Gushers and Fruit by the Foot, like all those like gummy candies.
Fruit by the what?
Fruit by the Foot. So it
I
basically
don't want
was
fruit on my
or
feet.
fruit roll-ups. I guess basically it was like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe
You don't
it.
know what you're all about.
It was
Feet.
yeah, it was a foot-long strip of like chewy candy that was all rolled up in a
Alright.
little container, and then you would. And
yeah.
then the best
Potato,
part
is it?
too, though, yeah, and the thing too that was really great is because it was wound up like I'm trying to say I don't have it on me, but you know like a fabric tape measure. Here, I actually have one here.
Currently
So
do.
it would like the candy would be rolled up like this,
I see.
and it would
Yes.
be in a bag. and then you could take the end of it
I've
if you were a
seen
real
those.
badass,
Yeah.
and you would fling it, and then the whole thing would unravel.
Whoa! See, were you one of those badasses?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I thought you might have got
Yeah.
picked on or something. Give me that back.
Yeah,
No, what are you
no.
doing?
I do
Oh,
it with
such a
bananas
badass.
too.
Bananas?
Yeah, you open a banana like that. The banana gun technique. Did you ever...
Shani Banani in chat. You hear what Natasha Tash is going to do to you if you... if you
No!
there was 1 inch long marshmallows in there now. Oh dear. I am one of the bad
Ooh.
houses, says Panda Eye. Oh my word.
Yeah.
If you try to the
Right?
box.
Absolutely. Oh, I haven't done that in a while. Could you imagine? Like, I don't know if this, but this is me throwing it back to the 90s. Let's throw it back.
Yeah,
If
fair enough.
I was an ad exec, I would 100% make it like a Wild West standoff with these fruit roll-ups with the 2 kids, and they have the fruit roll-up in the holster, and they have to crack the whip. I think that's an excellent ad campaign.
I mean, what are you trying to push? What are you trying to push with that? It's a brilliant advert, but, you know, it's a snack and a weapon.
Yeah.
That's-
Hey man, there's nothing more that kids like than like laughing at somebody in pain. Like I have a 5-year-old nephew, and it's like the things he thinks are funny. I'm like, cool. You get a bit concerned about children at that age.
Well,
eh?
speaking of children, speaking of this cereal, sometimes they would come with little toys inside. Didn't
Oh,
they?
yes.
These, yes.
Oh, did you ever get CD-ROMs? We
I
got
did.
full-on,
I did.
full-on
I never had a
computer
PC.
games in the cereal box.
Never had a PC. I didn't get a PC until I was well into my teens. So I never got. I had. I already gone past the phase of having the CDs in the box. I couldn't believe it. What did I end
What
up
was
with?
your favorite
Keychains.
toy that you got then in the cereal box?
I remember keychains mostly.
Oh.
But that's weird because they're metal. So I think they must have come in little plastic bags or something.
I think a
But-
lot of times it would be like, they were, you know how it's like the box and then the bag of cereal? I think
Yeah.
they would like take the bag of cereal out and stick the toy in the box
Or
and then
magnet
shove it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't
Or
think it would
Pogs.
exist in the cereal. Or would it?
Pogs. I had Pogs.
Oh, Pogs.
I remember getting Pogs. Yes. Well, that means something different now. But
Does it?
yeah. It means
Uh-oh.
was it play of the game? Not PogChamp. It's like on Twitch apparently.
Right.
But every time
right,
someone
right.
mentioned, every time I did something amazing in a game and someone would say Pog, I go, yeah, Alf. Yeah. That's So the UK version of Fruit by the Foot or Wind. Oh, Fruit Winders. That's right. Yeah, Fruit Winders. That is what they're called. Well done, Meatloaf. Fact Finder General there, redeeming himself.
Here we go. Perfect.
But there it is.
He's
PogChamp. Yeah.
he's the resident. He's doing the UK Canada translation for us. We might need a bit of that today.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
It
I
happens sometimes. Something I think is universal, and then people like in my family will look at me and be like, "That's not a
That's
word
no,
here,"
yeah,
and
no,
I'm
no.
like,
We've already had a bit of those things tonight, the jingles.
Yeah.
But you used to get them in cereal boxes, but you also used to get them in Happy Meals. You used to get toys in Happy Meals. And one toy I remember getting in Happy Meals, if I take your attention to the screen,
"What a transition!"
please.
Round of applause for that epic transition. I
Oh.
love it.
He works. He does some work.
Yeah.
I want to take you back to your next choice, the toy
Yes.
that gives you the most nostalgia. Let's take a look
Mm-hmm.
at the Beanie Babies.
First I got Pinky, then I got Pinky. I got Pinky and Patty in the same week.
What, Vanessa catch something?
Teeny beanie babyitis.
Now at McDonald's, your kids can get teeny beanie babies in a Happy Meal. Real Thai beanie babies in a mini size. To toss, tuck, or just plain love. One's in each $1.99 hamburger Happy Meal you buy your kids.
This teeny beanie babyitis. Will she outgrow it?
Not necessarily.
McDonald's also has extra value meals starting at $2.99. After all, we care about big kids too.
That's so weird that they're like equating
$2.99.
obsession with
After all, we
Beanie
care about
Babies
big
with a
kids, too.
disease.
Yeah,
Like, these names are so bizarre. She must have a disease, and it's like, no, she just
Do you want to
isn't.
give a go at saying what that was? That disease was? Do you want to give that
Was
a go?
it teeny? It was Beanie Babyitis or teeny beanieitis?
I think it was. Here we go. Teeny Beanie Babyitis.
Yeah,
Yay!
teeny beanie babyitis.
Not necessarily.
That's it.
Will she outgrow it? Teeny beanie
She
babyitis.
outgrow
Yeah,
it.
there
Your
is.
kids.
This teeny beanie babyitis.
How many times do you
Beanie
think
Babyitis.
it took to do that?
Teeny beanie babyitis.
I used to have hundreds of them. I used to have a load of these, mainly from McDonald's. I never used to get them outside of that. I have my sister collection of them. You have the collection of them. Apparently, they sell for a hell of a lot of money. Some of these do.
Some of them do, yeah.
I
still have a bunch as well.
I want to leave it on a certain image here because that one. So Beanie Babies, tell me all about why they make you so nostalgic.
I just noticed in this in this advert as well, there was a specific lizard Beanie Baby. It was like a blue one that had little spots on it. It was in the kind of advert. I don't know where he was. There he is in the upper corner. My brother definitely had that one in the upper left corner. 100%.
I don't think any of these made their way to the UK.
Oh, really?
The ones we got were generic, like bears and very basic designs. Like, you got a platypus in there and a turtle.
Yeah.
We'd love to have had those. Oh, dear. So, yes, why do they make you so nostalgic? What is it about these?
Well, so this was something that I got gifted a lot as a child, specifically from my great-grandparents. So my great-grandparents were the first ones to get me and my brother Beanie Babies. And then it was like because we also they lived far away from us. So we didn't see them all the time. And so we would always, but for like birthdays and Christmas and things like that, we would get Beanie Babies. And so we would get little ones and they would, like, I think I have a couple like jumbo ones.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, we had so many. And then I remember one time, because again, not only, do most kids go through their dinosaur phase, I feel like a lot of kids also go through like their marine biology dolphin phase. So at one point I went through my dolphin phase and redecorated my room, and I had like a hammock that I decided to like pretend to be like a net, like a fishing net, over top of my window.
Oh, that's cool.
And we stuck a bunch of like the fish and aquatic themed Beanie Babies in the net, like to be like on theme.
I love that idea. That is
so I had like a fish one. I had actually there was a sea otter named Seaweed.
Ooh.
So that was one of them. That's the other thing too about these. I don't know if you remember this, but like not only were these Beanie Babies cute and amazing, but they had their own names. They had their own birthdays.
Did they?
And they usually had little like haiku poems in the tags as well. Talking about like how they were like couldn't wait to be your friend and like couldn't wait to spend time with you and stuff like that. Oh yeah. So again, another thing. So my brother had one Beanie Baby. His name was Nuts. He was a squirrel.
Oh, right.
And we celebrated his birthday. We celebrated Nuts' birthday. So me, my brother, and a neighbor kid from across the street all came over, and we made an Easy Bake Oven cake for Nuts. And there's a picture of us with this little Easy Bake Oven cake with Nuts celebrating his birthday.
I didn't realise that they had so much to them. I just remember that my friend and I used to play with them and pretend they were people from our ballet club. Really? Because did the Smushmallows do that now? What?
Yeah. Oh, do the Smushmallows? I know that now, like the Beanie Babies still kind of exist, but they're like weirdly like almost like chibi-fied, where they have the massive sparkly eyes and the really big heads and tiny bodies.
When I was
like
working
that sort of
in the supermarket, we used to have a lot of those come in. And
they still have those. Yeah. So it's like Ty or TY. I don't know if you ever pronounced it Ty or TY. I'm not sure. We always called them Ty. Beanie Babies, that's the brand. So I think they still work in, the stuffed animal market.
Right.
But the fact that like the original sort of Beanie Babies as they were, I feel like was still a very like, once the eyes got big and the heads got big, it's like the shape changed, and I don't think they're filled with beans anymore either. I think they're very distinctly filled with like plasticky beans.
Plastic?
I think they might be plastic. That's probably why they don't fill them with that anymore.
Okay. But they're not Beanie Babies, so they got beans in them.
Yeah, they're like little plastic beans, I think.
Okay. Maybe they're beady babies.
Yeah, I forget. I don't know how. Yeah, they're like little plastic sort of things. Whereas I think now
they have their little stories. Well, like Mr. Men. Is that what they've become?
Yeah, like I said, they had little poems. They had like little like my name is Chip. I love to frolic. Something, and they always rhymed. Like they were little rhymey things.
You can't say frolic and then they rhyme because that one's promiscuous, I think. Now I'm going to reveal something about myself here.
Okay.
That I don't think it's ever been revealed on stream before. Maybe there have been hints of it. You may remember that I done some ventriloquist act with a giraffe sort of teddy.
Yes.
And I have the Hulk Hogan buddy, Hulk Hogan in kind of beat him up kind of thing. Well, when I was young, I actually had a lot of stuffed animals. Actually, quite a lot. For a very long time, I grew attached to them all. I had a fair few Beanie Babies as well, but most of them were just normal sort of Beanie Babies, like the bears.
Yeah, like stuffed toys.
Yeah, exactly. But I knew of the craze, and I knew there was many variations, but they never seemed to find their way to me. And the only chance I would get would be through McDonald's. But even then, they were very still. Like, but yes, I used to have loads of them. I used to have. We used to win them from the claw machines when we used to go to Blackpool. You see.
Yeah.
So I used to get quite a lot of them. I still remember some of them. I had a beaver called Andrew. You had to say it like
Did
Andrew.
you name them yourself?
Yes. I had the one I had. My nan gave me a little stuffed dog called Sammy. No, I named it Sammy. Actually, it had a full name, which was Sammy Bugle. Yeah, and it wasn't named after the musical instrument. I found that out. It was a musical instrument afterwards because I knew it was the newspaper from Spider-Man, the Daily Bugle. And
I thought maybe, again, I think nostalgic snack thing. I think bugles, they're like these little kind of like what is it called? Like cone-shaped kind of crisps, and people used to stick them on their fingers and pretend they had witch fingers.
Oh, I didn't know
Those
that.
were called bugles, so I thought maybe it was a food thing, but no, it's a
now
Spider-Man
I've heard
reference.
Bugle is used as a term for drugs as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So anyway,
Nothing is sacred. Nothing is sacred.
And this dog had loads of different variations. I found out, so it was my mission to go around and collect them all, and I still never got them all. Couldn't find them. I think they discontinued them.
How many did you get?
I ended up so it was. I'm very ingenious with the names. So I had Sammy, and then then the next one was White Sammy, Brown Sammy, Blue Sammy. Then they were all quite smooth in fabric, except for one that was hairy. Like it had proper teddy bear fur. Like you could run your fingers for it. So that was called Hairy Sammy.
Hey man, how else are you gonna keep them apart? I totally get it.
I saw a yellow Sammy, a pink Sammy, and a green Sammy once, and they were all in different machines, and we couldn't win any of them, and we had to leave, and I never saw them again. But I knew they existed and they're out there. But there you go. Anyway, so the Beanie Babies were a much more smaller part of my nostalgia in terms of the connection I had with my collection of bears, because you know, I was a lonely little boy, you know, and he said a hug at night.
Also, because would you identify yourself as a 90s kid, or are you more of an 80s kid?
Oh, no, 90s. I was born 89, so...
okay, so you're the same age as... Yeah, you're the same age as my partner. So, yeah, still very quintessentially 90s. So, we grew up in the Toy Story era. So, like, when Toy Story first came out, did you not think, well, my toys have souls?
Yes.
My toys are off doing things.
And now you know the origin of my name.
Yeah.
I'm still seeking the souls of those Sammys.
Yeah, honestly, that's your life's mission.
Yes.
That's your holy grail. I need all the Sammys. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that also didn't help. You know, when we were kids, and the same too. We had massive toy collections, and then it became a bit of a thing where you're kind of okay, I've played a lot with this toy. Maybe the other toy feels sad because I've not played with that one as much, or you would want to make sure that all the toys knew that they were loved because you knew they all had souls, and they all would get up to shenanigans when you were gone.
My mother would encourage that quite a bit as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sometimes even when I was a bit she's like, well, you know, they've got feelings, you know, and I'm like, yeah. And then I'll be like, no, they haven't. And then when she's gone, I'm like, oh, they do. Take a pic. There's a pic in the Discord. Thank you, Johnny. You're an 80s kid and 70s. My Cabbage Patch Kids had souls. There you go. You see.
Exactly.
I had a collection of pandas. People keep giving me. What's your name, mate? Isn't it? Or was that before you got the name? Oh dear. Oh yeah, Jim My Squishmallow. Is this the new thing, Squishmallows? Oh yeah, and it has got a little thing in. Picture this in the Discord there.
Oh yeah. Oh. Jim is. Oh, does it rhyme too? No, it doesn't rhyme.
Meet
Jim is
Jim.
the best
Jim
mallow.
is the best mallow to hike a mountain or ski down the slopes with. That's weird, isn't it? Why would you want to hike
He's an
a-
adventurer, Saul.
Well,
He's an
whatever.
adventurous little dude.
I think it would weigh me down. That's all I'm saying. Toa, my mum's going to be sitting next to about 20 of my childhood teddy bears hanging out in her couch. You all saying the kids' toys done lost their souls? No, they haven't. They haven't, Toa. No, they have. Not one single bit. Right?
Absolutely.
They have
no.
absolutely no. Oh, look, there's more.
It's one of
Oh.
those things too, right? Where I feel like it's again like the thing about like childhood wonder and stuff is as
Pandas,
long
pandas.
as you believe, it makes it real. So as long as we
Exactly.
believe
Exactly.
that our teddies have souls, they have souls.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, they do. Now, the Beanie Babies were a little bit of a craze. So I want to take your attention to the screen once again, if I may, and check this out.
For years, nothing's been hotter than those cuddly little animals with cute little names.
Almonds. I don't have almonds, right?
But abruptly this week, the makers of Beanie Babies, Thai Incorporated, announced over the internet that it's over.
So, is it official? It's official.
Shop owner Joe Diamond had to post the news.
Beanie Babies are dead. It's over. December 31st. Millennium. No more Beanie Babies.
No more Quackers the Duck or Pinky the Flamingo. The company says every last one will be retired.
That's why I'm here now. Bye.
The news caused a frenzy in the beanie world, especially among the adult collectors.
Yes, I'm checking right now to see what I'm missing in my collection.
What happened was the chat room actually got flooded.
Leonard Tannenbaum's Beanie Nation website was overwhelmed with mournful messages like "The end is
Overwhelmed.
coming."
5 people showed up at once.
Affecting their life more than most things that you guys have on the news. This to them is everything.
They're the same avid collectors who've bid the price for Peanut the elephant up to $5,000.
Whoa.
But isn't that cute? What would you rather have, a new car or Peanut the elephant?
In truth, the fad was starting to fade. Store owners say,
I'm gonna ride that
"Oh,
elephant
the
into
hot
town."
buy now.
But it's not the same as Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies were unto themselves.
So after one final frenzy of buying, collectors will have to go cold
That's pretty
turkey.
good.
I will survive.
Without Beanie Babies?
Well, it'll be difficult, but I will manage.
And by the turn of the century, Beanie Babies will become has-beens.
What?
Anthony Mason, CBS
But,
News, New York.
Oh, has-beens. Can you believe this? Did that look like it had seen some stuff? Okay, Google have dozens upon dozens resting in a box hotels. But yeah, no, great love for those guys. Exactly, Taylor. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Tash, what do you think about that? They're dead. Apparently they're dead.
Well, I remember in my hometown, because my brother was obsessed with the bat Beanie Babies. There were 2 bat ones.
Oh, right.
One that was really like more rare and one that was more generic. And I remember us going to like a toy collector convention and my brother finding this bat and it being like, I don't know how much it was, but it was too much for my parents to justify buying a stuffed toy for a child. So they had to be like, Vic, like, this is not, it's too much. Like, you can't. I remember him being so upset, but my parents were like, we're not dropping like $100 on a toy for you.
Right? Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah,
Absolutely.
it's surprising how much they've got. Nostalgia does sell. Like even like, as collector at the time, they were going for ridiculous prices. Now they have skyrocketed just because obviously they're rarer, but also the nostalgia factor of having them all.
Yeah.
I remember there was a TV show made by the guys that made League of Gentlemen called Psychoville, and it has a character that has this secret room where his holiest of holies are. And finally, you know the lead character from Get Out? Has anyone seen Get Out, the horror film?
Yep.
Yeah, the lead guy from that. This is one of early in his career. He played a guy that was coming in to like help this old man around his house, and he opens the door finally because it's just too much. He had to see what was inside, and it's just Beanie Babies all over the wall.
That's incredible. Well, it's the same with like any there's like people who collect, you know, like Hot Wheels, or people who collect Barbie dolls, or people who collect people will collect.
That's fine, though, actually.
I don't know. It's very interesting, like what people are into. I wonder though. It's interesting now too because this was like December 31st, 1999. I wonder if this coincided with the Y2K scare as well. Because they were saying, oh, they're going to stop, you know, production of whatever, and they're going to, you know, retire all the Beanie Babies. I wonder if that was also because everyone was worried that the end of the world was happening.
Do you know what? That's true. That's true, you know. Turn the
I
millennium.
feel like
it
Beanie
caused a lot of
Babies
issues,
still
didn't it?
existed. Maybe all the original lineup, but I had some from like the 2000s. So I have some that were like, they were like a softer, kind of fuzzier, like silky fuzzy version
Yeah,
of
I
Beanie
remember
Babies.
different
They weren't
ones,
as
yeah.
intense, like they weren't the same ones. But I'm pretty sure that like Beanie Babies still existed into the 2000s. So I don't know if that was just the original lineup of Beanie Babies that they were gonna call End Game on, or if that was also somewhat to do with Y2K.
Well, I can't get the clip, which is annoying me. I can't find it. I really wanted to show you that, guys, because it only just hit me. So look at the picture of this. I've just found that on eBay. Oh, what's this? What's this? Whoa! $916,000 for a purple Princess Diana Beanie Baby.
I have that one actually.
What?
I have the Princess Diana doll. The only thing is, because the thing too with a lot of these ones that are really rare is that it's like because there's a manufacturer default or there's something to do, you know what I mean? Where it's like, because I know that I had a Ladybug Beanie Baby, and it was like, well, there's 3 different variations of the Ladybug. One that has 7 spots, one that has, 14, and one that has, 24 or whatever. So I think sometimes that's what it is. Because I remember doing that when I was going through, because before my parents like sold our childhood home, and so me and my brother had both moved out, but they were moving across the country to be closer to my grandparents, and they're like, we're not carting all of your childhood toys across the country, come and sort this shit out. So me and my brother had to sit down and go through all our my Barbies and the Beanie Babies and all my brother's action figures and like the Connects and the Bionicles and the plastic toys. And so we did sit there and like Google to see if any of these were worth anything. Like,
right.
So I think most of them it was like,
yeah,
it was comparable. You know what I mean? It was like not enough to, if you really wanted to. Like I know some people, like they're really good at that. I'm not the type of person who can like sit there and like list things and bid and do all that kind of stuff. So it's like if it's anything under like $50, it's like not worth it.
Yeah,
I don't think any of the ones we had were.
I think I've got a few wrestling figures that might be worth a little bit, but not a great deal. I think that some video games I've got probably worth a lot more. I wasn't allowed to have Barbies as Patats, but my cousin did, so I played with hers. Oh, well done. You stole them.
That's good. I'm glad you still got to play with them, though.
Now,
Barbies Barbies.
With Shadow, do you have many stuffed animals around in case Shadow tears them to bits?
No.
Meatloaf there, how many times do I have to tell you I have aphantasia? Oh dear, Meatloaf, a little callback there. I think he's probably been waiting for this. Every time he says that he cannot imagine things, it's because he has this condition, aphantasia, to which I always get wrong. They're called Fantasia or Anastasia, right? Well done for putting me in my place, Meatloaf. So you're right. I think right now, as an adult, I could sit down and appreciate Fantasia and absolutely love it. But as a kid, it wasn't Hercules, it wasn't Aladdin, and it wasn't like the others. And it was so much of a departure that my little irritable brain was, as much as it wanted to love it, couldn't even get through it.
I know, it's interesting because it's this one, and then the other one I suggested for you was The Three Caballeros, which is another Disney film that also is quite based in like a lot of music. Right. And these were the 2 that my brother was obsessed with growing up. So like as a baby, he would ask my mom, be like, put on Tasia, and then like that's what he would call it, be like Tasia, and then my parents would put it on.
Did he start calling you Tasia?
Yeah. Yeah, Tasha and Tasia. Yeah,
maybe they just wanted to put you somewhere. That was what he was actually calling.
Yeah, he was calling for me, and my parents kept putting on a movie, and they were like, "I don't understand."
It's like,
could you
just
imagine?
Put on Tasia. Oh, film. That's
it's
just a distraction.
Yeah, but I don't know if maybe it was like, because maybe you couldn't, like, I don't know, like I would genuinely not know, like, because I'm assuming he was quite young if he was requesting this. Like in that way, you know, I don't know at what age you can pronounce your like fan syllables. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's one of those because it's just a bunch of like fun classical music. I guess if you're just a kid, like, you know, playing with your blocks or doing whatever, it's just like, oh, there's just music on in the background, and then there also happens to be like, you know, every once in a while when you decide you want to look up, you're like, oh, there's like a different thing happening on the screen.
I can
So
see.
I don't think.
I can see why this film would bring about more nostalgia than
Mhm.
any other film, and I think the main reason for that is because of the lack of dialogue.
Yeah.
Because I think the music creates an ambience and an atmosphere that, with the imagery, your senses are focused on hearing and visual, right? But the
Mhm.
hearing is passive. It's not you're not actively trying to listen to dialogue and understand it and translate it. You're just listening to music, and I think it creates an atmosphere in the room, and then you're just struck by the visual. So I can see why that filtered sort of perspective on this film could create such a nostalgia. Definitely.
I think too, possibly too, because it's like sometimes when you're like a kid, I think back to like my nephew's 5, and it's like he's sort of getting a bit better, but because he's constantly on the go, it's like if you're following a movie that has a narrative arc, like you said, you're listening to dialogue, you
Right.
have to pay attention to
And
what's being said.
Moves forward in a story progression.
Yeah,
Like, it
and it's
pushes
like,
forward.
dude, I'm 5. I got like rocks to go play with. I got, running around to do. Like, I got to go get my juice box. Like, I don't have time to sit here and like listen and pay attention to like what
Right.
these people are doing. Whereas if like there's a movie on in the background, I'm doing my thing and I look up and I'm like, oh cool, there's like a dinosaur and a hippo or an alligator and a hippo dancing. That's cool. Do my thing. I'm like, oh look, there's Mickey. Like, do
Yeah.
a bit more. Oh, there's like random plants that are
Right.
like kind of people kind of doing whatever. Like, this is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally
Yeah.
I totally got this when I saw that it was part of nostalgia. I think even though I never watched it all the way through, it's nostalgic for me as well, and it's
Interesting.
because of it's an experience. It's slow.
Yes.
It's a slowed down experience that you have to sort of take in a very different manner. Now, this is your most nostalgic film of the Disney alumni. But what is your favourite Disney film?
Favorite Disney film is Aladdin.
Aladdin, yes,
Aladdin,
champion.
yeah, 100%. Favorite Disney princess, Princess Jasmine.
Right.
Like, I think that one came out the year, like, that came out in 92.
92,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one, I don't know what it is about that one. It's just...
I was watching some Robin Williams bloopers. I think Watch
Oh,
Mojo stuck a
yeah.
video out today, and I went down the rabbit hole of that and just checked out some of the deleted scenes, and they've even drawn, like, animated some of them now.
Yes.
Which is fantastic.
Because he just, like, improv'd so much, and then the animators were like, cool, we have so much to work with. We'll take
Yeah.
these parts.
The only
Yeah.
problem with Aladdin is that, unfortunately, it's going to age poorly. Because the references made will become extinct. Like, the further we go,
Yeah,
a lot of the
that's
jokes and references
interesting.
will no longer be understood as well.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting too, because I think as well, I rewatched it not too long ago, and I noticed that as an adult, I caught references that I obviously missed as a child.
Right.
Because obviously, like, growing up as like a child in the 90s, you don't obviously know necessarily the pop culture things, but once you
Yeah.
get a bit older and you sort of like research, people be like, oh, back in the day, like, all of these sort of like pop culture, historical, political events are happening. When you're like 5, that shit's not resonating with you. But when you're an adult, you're like, oh yeah, when I was 5, this bullshit was happening,
exactly, yeah.
in this space.
In that zeitgeist, yeah.
And so there will be like, a pop culture figure that was a joke for the adults in the 90s that I didn't get when I first watched the film, but then going back and watching it as an adult, I'm like, I know what you're referencing. Whereas before I wouldn't. Like,
Yeah,
I think he
so-
does
oh,
like a
I got it,
Groucho
yeah.
Marx impersonation. He does
Yeah,
like
that's right.
oh, who's that like talk show that like the old guy with the glasses, something
is that
King
Letterman?
maybe?
No?
Oh, I don't know.
Larry-
Not Larry David. Larry King.
Larry King, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
so I think
yeah.
he does a Larry King impersonation,
Yeah.
like things like that, right? So it's
Now, they
But
did remake Aladdin, right? They did a live action one, I believe.
yes, they
Now, they've
did.
done that
I haven't seen it.
They've done that with
I've
a lot
heard...
of these things. They've actually done Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and all these. Now,
Yeah.
Snow White. Do you think Jungle Book? Well, they've done loads. Do you think these are actually working? Like,
I don't know if I think they're trying to capitalize. It's this weird double-edged sword because I feel like I think nostalgia sells. So people want you know, to be sort of like reminiscing about stuff.
Right.
But in the same vein too, I think a lot of people are hungry for like new and original
I
stories.
really want new and original stuff.
Yeah, and I think too, like, if I want to be nostalgic about Aladdin, I'll watch the original Aladdin. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, that's not... It's this weird thing where they're like, yeah, guys, we're remaking your favorite. And you're like, yeah, it's my favorite. Don't touch it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's
Like,
sort of
I feel like...
protection about it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's the thing. I think people think, like, oh, everyone's really nostalgic for something. Let's bring it to them in a new light.
Right.
Whereas, like, for us, it's like, no... It's almost like our nostalgia is sacred, and it's like, don't fuck with my
I've
nostalgia.
never understood
You know
this,
what
but
I mean?
spiritual successors
Mm-hmm.
tend to do really well. Or if they don't, it doesn't harm anything.
No.
Right? So why aren't more people doing spiritual successors, doing something original, inspired by this, and producing something new? Mihai, hello, welcome in. The live action Aladdin is pretty funny and cool with a few twists. However, when I left the theatre, I felt like, yeah, I want to watch the old one again.
Yeah, definitely.
I suppose that worked then in a way, because it made you buy the ticket and then go and buy the older Aladdin again. I don't know.
I guess to be fair, I think sometimes the argument as well is, well, we want to bring like these stories are so, I guess, universal. We want to share them with the next generation. Because I think, at least I find that, like, you can stick on, you know, Aladdin now, and the kid who wants to watch Moana and Aladdin, like, they're not that different in terms of, like, attention factor. Whereas,
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
you know, back in the day, like, a lot of movies, you know, this is, like, way back in, you know, like, the 30s and 40s, a lot of the films are in black and white, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was younger, people, you know, my parents would be like, oh, this is a really great film. And I'm like, it's in black and white, that's boring. You know? Like, or that's, you know, like, things like that where it's like, I know, right? Now I'm like, oh, blasphemy. But, like, certain things don't hold your attention as a child.
It's true.
So there
Yeah.
could be, like, this cinematic masterpiece that they're like, we would like to upgrade it for the attention span, for the interests, for the vibes of the
Right.
new generation. And I see that with some things, but with Disney stuff, I'm like, it's still the same vibe. Like, it's not, you know, like, you don't need to update it. I guess, like you said, the references might be a bit different,
Yeah.
but the overall story, I think you could sit... Yeah, like, I think any of the classic animated Disney films are pretty universal, regardless of, like, which generation you're showing them
So,
to.
do you reckon we'll see more... Do you think we'll ever get more 2D Disney?
I wish.
I wish too. I really do. The
I
problem was
wish.
that The Princess and the Frog was sort of a throwback kind of unique special
Yeah.
feature, right? But before that, the early 2000s had these 2D animated Disney movies that bombed. Like, things were bad for Disney. And,
Yeah.
like, even though they're great, I think they're great films, stuff like Treasure Planet and those kind of ones, really great films, and yet just don't seem to have the magic that came before, or the universal acclaim of the original, you know.
I
classic
don't know.
Disney.
I also wonder too, and part of this is like maybe a bit of a conspiracy theory.
Oh, we like a bit of that, don't we, guys? We like a bit of that.
Because the treasure planets and the Atlantises and things of the world, I don't think they could market merchandise for them as well as they
you
could
reckon?
the
That's
Disney
fair.
princesses and stuff.
I think that's so fair.
I think they did. And so I wonder, it's like a chicken or the egg thing, right? It's like, did they decide, like, this movie is bombing, we're not gonna shell out a bunch of merch, we're not gonna make, like, you know, Kida costumes for little girls for Halloween,
Right.
or like Milo, you know, outfits for Halloween or things like that? Or is it, I can't see a merchandising opportunity here, let's just not even bother. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, Disney princesses, you're like costumes, Barbie dolls, toys, you know,
Right.
dresses,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Whereas, yeah, with those ones, the only difference in that is that Stitch from Lilo and Stitch has become a little bit of a cultural phenomenon. So
Pretty
Disney,
last
like, you
great
can get
2D one, right?
Stitch everything. Like, you
So
can
change
get
it, like,
all...
you're all right, Mihai. It's wonderful to have you here, my friend. Wonderful to
Yeah.
have you here. But you're right. Yeah, that's probably the last marketable 2D one, right? It's even Princess
Yeah.
and the Frog. It tried to bring back the princess, which was great because it did quite well. Like,
Yeah.
that princess is still sort of around in the toys and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
brought up. But other than that, I suppose it entered the pantheon, but didn't really break the mold in any way.
Yeah.
I feel like a bit of a snob, and the reason for that is because I really don't connect or find it in any way interesting 3D animation.
No, I know.
And it
I
annoys
don't...
me a bit that I have such a...
Yeah,
sort
I
of
think
like,
sometimes too. I know too. Like me and my, because my partner watches a lot of anime,
Right.
and there's different types of the 3D kind
Yeah.
of animation, and so there's certain ones that he's like, this is good, and then there's some that like the animation is so jarring to him that he's like, the story could be amazing, I cannot watch this. It's like not
Yeah.
like my brain,
I have
you
that
know?
with a lot of anime cartoons, like
Yeah.
like South Park, right?
Mm.
All right, look, early seasons, I suppose, were quite funny at the time. Right now,
Yeah.
I don't think it's that great, but you know, when you're a teenager and you're seeing South Park, you've probably got a kind of it's marketing towards you. But the
I think
animation,
that's one of the
I
things,
couldn't
too,
watch
where,
it.
like,
I could watch it. The animation was just too. It wasn't like The Simpsons. That sort of like crisp, bold lines. I need this kind of. There's something really satisfying about great 2D animation that I think is not there in 3D animation. I don't think I can appreciate it as much. But when 2D animation doesn't connect with me, it really doesn't connect with me.
Is that why you're more drawn to vintage games?
Ooh,
because
interesting.
the 3D games, like that 3D sort of,
Nah,
you know what I mean?
I'd like
Or
to.
is
I'd like to think that's the case. But I am a big point and click fan, which is obviously usually a 2D sort of
Yeah.
experience. And the transition to 3D was really bad for all video games. Really big learning curve for every aspect of gaming. But then they nailed it. So actually, right now, I think 3D gaming. No, 3D is fine. I don't have like a aversion to 3D. No. I think it's because that's more of an active experience as well. I think when it's a passive experience, you have to rely on your inability to affect it in any way, or have any kind of say or control over it. So all you can do is take in your senses and what's being presented to you. And I feel as 2D, there's a level of appreciation that comes with what I'm seeing. With 3D, for some reason, maybe it's uncanny valley. I don't know what it is, but I mean, it because it looks in a 3D
it's
world,
like so real.
Yeah.
You're like, this doesn't look.
2D is a cartoon. My brain can accept it's a cartoon and not in any way real. 3D, is it trying to replicate my world? I don't understand. That's why I don't really like CGI that much either. I can't watch these Marvel films or anything like that. It's just like nonsense. It's just loud noise and some bloke dressed up in a cloak, mostly a green suit, talking to a tennis ball. I know that's what's going on, you know. But 2D animation, there's nothing really hidden behind there. What you see is what you get.
I was gonna say, speaking of like nostalgic things, do you remember when, like, I think now it's a bit different, but when they really tried to make 3D movies a thing? Like 3D TV and 3D movies.
Oh, that kind of
and
3D.
Like,
yeah. That's.
Well, because I remember, I think the first like 3D movie I saw in theaters was Spy Kids 3D, and that's when you still had like the blue and red. You know what I mean? Like that sort of 3D. And then it got to the point where they were like things weren't popping out at you anymore. They were just like almost like going further back. It was this weird thing.
Everyone's cool in the cinema when they watch a 3D film. When everyone's thinking you're watching a 3D film, there's nothing cool about it.
And it's gonna cost you like 3 times as much, and like nothing jumps out at you anymore. Like when 3D movies actually wanted things to jump out at you, I'm like, cool, sign me up. I'm not a huge fan, but cool.
I've got to be sweet.
But then like
you scared me then. So when you did that actually got me. So I went to see Saw 3D, and I was sitting with my mate, and he was there like, "Why'd you keep jumping?" I'm like, "Because it's coming at my face. I don't like it." Right?
Yeah.
I had to take him off for a little while, and that's annoying because the film looks weird. But I was getting a headache. But I paid money for this. I just want to watch a film.
Originally, you could just take the 3D off, and it's like, oh, this stuff wouldn't pop out at you. It wouldn't like completely mess up the entire viewing experience. Now it's like so ingrained, you have to wear them or that's it.
It's very crazy, very crazy. But yes, my nostalgia is, I mean, Big Potato is a big lover of Disney and Kingdom Hearts, that series, and she brought back my love for Disney again. Well, my love for when I was young and the experience of experiencing Disney is because she played Kingdom Hearts again, which I loved, the first one, because it just had everyone in it, all the best ones, you know. There was Hercules.
So does this
Aladdin
mean you're gonna get Disney Dreamlight? Are we gonna get a Disney Dreamlight walkthrough from Saw anytime soon?
I cannot. Yes. But yeah, we're gonna, if I may, we talk about Disney cartoons, And when I think of cartoons, I think of Marvel. Because I used to watch a lot of, I used to read a lot of comic books, DC, Marvel, all of them. I used to get the big graphic novels and when they were all released and read them. And I never thought they ever transitioned right into films. I'm not a big fan of superhero films, but my childhood is full of these. But your childhood, or at least those years, formative years, they weren't of. Well, I don't know if you did read superhero books like all the other nerds that we were called, but you read Archie comics, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like that's like, you know, I feel like that's like popular, you know, culture comic reading. Like you weren't a nerd if you read Archie comics, but you were like a nerd if you read any other kind of comics. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like you'd be like, I read Archie comics, and people wouldn't think like, oh, you're like a you know.
This one's a bit weird on me. Okay, I watch Film Theory now. Anything Disney's either dark or horror story. That's fair. That's fair. You're
Some of my favorite versions of Disney are like weird retellings of them.
Black Cauldron. Everyone's seen that? Ooh, that's good. That was an intentionally dark movie from Disney. It's true. It bombed.
Which one?
The Black Cauldron.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Munches and Crunches.
So this is a bit weird on me because what's it called? Archie Comics? Is it Archie Comics?
Yeah. Archie Comics.
They never made their way over here.
Really?
So the weird thing was that there are a lot of characters that are under this umbrella of Archie that I had no idea was under this umbrella because these weren't introduced into British culture. I always knew it as I always knew the name, but it was sort of like this thing that's over there. It's a stateside thing. So
interesting.
Is it Riverdale?
Yeah, Riverdale.
That's a sort of, I think it's a program on Netflix that sort of combines a lot of these.
Yes, this is that's the like what is it? The CW-ification where they took all that was good and wholesome and they like sexified it and made it weird.
So for anyone out there that is not familiar with these, could you give us a quick kind of summary of what these comics are? You can see them on the coffee table in front of us, by the way.
Yeah. So I feel like Archie comics, they're sort of like slice of life kind of cells. So the idea is like it surrounds basically Archie, and I think they take place in high school. So the main character is Archie, and he has his group of friends, and it's just about, you know, like their shenanigan hijinks in high school. So you have Archie, you have Betty and Veronica, you have his best friend Jughead, there's a guy named Moose, there's like a diner that they all go hang out in called Pops's Diner.
That's
there's
Saved by the Bell, that sounds like.
Yeah, there's like, it's sort of like I'm trying to think, like, you know, like the Beverly Hills 90210s, like those sorts of like quintessentially like Americana like TV shows. This was sort of like the like the comic strip version of that, but I think it took place, like, it's quite an old comic, so I want to say it almost started in like the 50s. Like it's one of those,
right?
Yeah, and so a lot, that's why you have things like, you know, Pop's Diner, where it's like, you know, like the like,
roller
what is it
skates.
Yeah, like roller skates, or like, you know, like the sort of like the poodle skirt. What sort of era is like the 50s, you know, like jukebox style.
Yeah, that's definitely a 50s.
That's sort of
right.
like this vintage sort of diner that they come
days.
Yeah, and so, yeah, and like there's different sort of iterations of that, but the ones that I had, and then of course you had, like, similar to Marvel, right, where you have this, like, all these different characters,
right,
and then you would do, you know, like, offshoots, right? So the first one I had was just a Betty and Veronica comic, and then you had Archie comics, and then I think maybe Jughead had his own, and then there were things like that, so then they were compilations of these comic strips that then would be, and it's like vignettes, so you know, like when you have like the Sunday morning paper, and you would have like the Sunday morning cartoons, and they would be like, you know, however many cells.
Those kind of things. Garfield would have like 3 panels.
Yeah, exactly. So they were like compilations of that. So it's not like a comic book, like a Marvel book, where the entire thing is one story arc. It would be like a Reader's Digest, where it would be like a bunch of different sort of comic strips in a book.
Yeah, in terms of my engagement with it and just the knowledge, foreknowledge of it. The first comic store nerd item added in a store was in like 2000s Romania. It was super late on opening up to comic books. So, really? Oh wow,
interesting.
My word, that's very late for these. I mean, it's in 1950s here.
Yeah, but you know, my wheelhouse is the 2000s.
Yeah, I was going to say
relevant.
yes, because the Archie is obviously something that's been around for 50 years by the time that you. Well, I don't know when it started. I'm assuming it started early. Comics were massive in the post-war boom.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's the
I've
thing
seen it
too,
on the
because I don't
early
know if
ones.
maybe it started out as a newspaper one
Right,
and
okay,
then
that makes sense.
transitioned into
But by-
like collections and things.
By the time you reached it, or he had reached you rather, I mean, it had been well underway for many years. Had this hell of a backlog, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. It was one of those ones that, you know, when you like are at the grocery store and you're waiting in the checkout line and there would be like the magazines at like the kiosk.
Right.
And people would pick those up. They would have Archie comics.
Oh wow.
So they would have like, you know, kids ones or something.
Well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
if I'm gonna take your attention back to the screen because I found
Yeah.
a show based on Archie. Actually, let's see if you can recognise any
Is
of
this
this
the
stuff.
cartoon? Oh,
I have no idea what this is, but is this bringing you nostalgia?
See, this is the thing because I do remember. So, have you ever heard of the song "Sugar Sugar"?
Yes. Yes, I have.
It's
yes.
by the Archies, and that's them.
And that's them, right? That makes so much more sense.
So I don't know if it was again the chicken or the egg thing. If I think it's like Archie Comics and they created this fictional band, or if it was this real band and then they sort of, you know what I mean?
That's so,
Because also under the Archie Comics umbrella is Sabrina the Teenage Witch
Yes, exactly,
and
yeah.
Josie and the Pussycat.
Josie the Pussycats, and I know them well. Again, that was the other one. I knew Josie before I knew like Archie or anything. And
Yeah.
and this art style was very distinct, and I think that's where it's from. Like, it's Sugar Sugar,
Yeah.
isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
honey, honey, good,
Yeah.
good. That way. That's all right. Tangent.
No, exactly.
Yeah. But I found this show. I don't know if this sums up the actual comics themselves in any way.
Hey, watch it. That's no way for a detective to act. Maybe not, but it's okay for us chicken assistants. Come on, let's follow
Did that dog talk?
I don't know. Yeah.
Is it trying to be Scooby? What's going on?
Maybe.
It didn't even say rut roll.
Do you have the feeling someone's following us? Now that you mention it, yeah. Maybe someone is planning to swipe these pearls. Do you think so? Hey,
Because I know Archie, so I think that's Archie and Reggie. Reggie's like his frenemy.
Okay.
And so there's like these dynamics, right? And Jughead's like Archie's best friend, but he's also kind of like a weird social outcast as well.
What is this bit?
So-
Who is this bloke?
That's our man. Let's take him. Now to use some of my equipment. I'll let him have it with this instant fog. Funny.
So I'm doing
I
a
thought I heard
bit of
someone running.
I love the laugh track as well.
Googling.
That was great in these old shows. Especially in the 60s. Especially Scooby-Doo had it as well, where they put the laugh track in the background. So weird. For me, that was American cartoons for a very long time. The Hanna-Barbera sort of laughter track after everything. Hong Kong Phooey, Hair Bear Bunch, all these kind of ones. I loved when I found a VHS of them. I go nuts, but I need this. I need to see this. It's the Jetsons. I haven't seen these episodes. You know, it's just the only way to get them was that because we didn't have cable or anything when I was young. It wasn't until I was a teen that we could afford any of that kind of stuff. And then like they'd be on repeat, and I'd be like, wow, now I haven't got time. There you go.
Yeah, so apparently the characters for the Archie characters were created in 1941.
There's the Archies. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
1941. Wow, it goes back even further. That's during the war.
Yeah. Yeah, the initial
Yeah.
characters.
So were the Archie comics? Did they keep their same art styling? Like, did they look like this even when you were?
No, they got more refined.
How
As
did
I,
they
you know
do
what? Actually, you know what's worth a Google is in the 2000s they came up with a cartoon called Archie's Weird Mysteries.
Oh.
And it was about how Archie was like a paranormal investigator. They were still in like high school, I think. But that art style was a little bit more in line, at least a little, maybe like a little bit less refined. But this is more the iteration that I remember.
And if I bring you back to the screen, I think I may have already found it.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't even give you the intro. That's lame, because that's a good song. They just jumped straight into it.
This is a proud day for Mega Man.
Yeah, so it's based on. There we go. Just,
Oh, I see the upgrade. Yeah, they sort of. I gotcha. They refined it very much. You're right, absolutely.
yeah. But the characters still look very similar to the old 40s version. They're just like a little bit more modernized, you know what I mean? But like the essence is still there.
So would you say that this is sort of like the very first cinematic universe?
Ooh. Probably for me.
For you,
Definitely.
okay.
This is my first cinematic universe for sure. Yeah, because I don't know how much of a crossover, like, I don't know, there must have been, like, crossover episodes, you know what I mean? Of, like, with Josie and the Pussycats and Sabrina. I remember, actually, I remember there being crossovers in the comics. So every once in a while, Sabrina would show up in an Archie comic.
They all exist, right? They all exist in the same world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the ACU, the Archie Cinematic
Right.
Universe.
Because I suppose you could argue that obviously Marvel and DC obviously had their own universes anyway in the comics,
Yes.
but even then it was convoluted and they kept restarting characters and
Yeah.
it never seemed to line up.
Well, there's like parallel universes
Right,
to it.
exactly. Yeah, there's that whole thing. So I don't know. Maybe this is. Although I suppose some people would say that the Universal Monsters probably had it first in the 30s, 40s.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
With the crossover events there. But then again, like everyone would usually die in those original films, and they'd be back in the next one, and it'd be like, yes, it's a crossover. And well, like, didn't you die?
Yeah.
in that narrative over. So yes, it's very weird. So these books, so they were the ones I've got on the coffee table in front of us. So are these like graphic novels? Like these are compilations of previously.
Actually, you know
released
what? If you give me
strips.
2 seconds, I have the first one I've ever bought.
Oh my word!
So
exclusive.
give me 2 seconds,
Oh,
and I'll go
absolutely.
run and get it.
I'll keep everyone entertained by saying Archie is weird mysteries. Archie is weird mysteries. Archie is weird mystery. Wait a minute, I've got a character called Archie. I just realised, Archibald Comics. Archibald's weird mystery. They've stole my gig. What's going on there? But we're gonna see a legitimate issue of the very first Archie that Tash was introduced to, which is amazing. I hope everyone is well. Hope you're enjoying the show.
Found it.
There it is. There it is. Oh my. Oh my.
Sorry about that.
I was just singing.
Okay.
That's all.
You're just singing.
Yeah.
So this is the Archie comic book.
That looks rather small, doesn't it?
Yeah. So not that.
It's quite thick though.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, for instance.
It does say magazine on it.
Yeah. So then this is like the panel. So for instance, like I said, this is Sabrina showed up in
Why
there.
look at Sabrina? Oi.
Yeah, so 1, 2. So it's like just a 5-panel comic, and then you go to the next one, and then this one is a bit longer.
So they must be like previously printed in the backs of newspapers and stuff like that. and
Yeah,
they're
that's what I'm
compiled.
thinking.
That's pretty cool. The Universal Monster series is considered the first cinematic universe. Yes, I did figure it out. I figured it
there you
out.
go.
Yeah, there you go. Although I still doubt that one based on the fact that they died in their original movies.
Yeah, well.
This
The other
one's a
thing, too-
prequel where the Wolfman met Dracula, but wait a minute, Wolfman hadn't happened yet. It never lines up. And now they meet Abbott and Costello. Wait, what? What are you talking about?
To be fair, the same thing happens in Scooby-Doo, eh? Scooby-Doo meets, like, you know, John Cena, and Scooby-Doo, you know, meets
That's
Marvel
true.
characters.
Batman and Robin, I remember that.
There's a lot of...
I remember the crossovers like Sonny and Cher and Batman and Robin and then the Harlem Globetrotters.
Well, there was actually... So one of my favorite musical groups from Australia are called the Veronicas.
Kiss.
And... Yeah, but they decided they named their band after Veronica Sawyer from the movie Heathers, you know, the 80s cult classic film Heathers.
Oh.
But there was like a bit of a dispute with Archie Comics. And so to
Oh.
sort that out, because Veronica is one of the main characters, and the Veronicas, the
Tash
two
loves
girls,
Heathers.
they look like Veronica Lodge, who's like the main character, because they all have long black hair, and so
Right.
it was this thing. So I think there was like a legal dispute, and it was settled with the Veronicas appearing in some of the Archie comics as like part of the conditional deal. I never got like the magazine, I'd never seen it, but apparently that was like a thing that they had to do. So they had to like appear in the Archie comics.
Right, that's crazy.
To like not, I guess, get sued by the Archie
I guess so.
Corporation.
So do you have a lot more? Have you kept a lot more of these magazines?
No, I used to have
Oh.
so many. I used to be a huge, like, I used to keep every single magazine I ever bought as a child, and then, you know, I grew up, and my parents were like, you can't do
You
this.
can't do it,
So, but I
yeah,
kept this one because it was the very
I'm
first one I
glad.
ever bought.
I'm glad you did. That's amazing. You get to see it here.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you love Heather's potato? Same. See, I think me and Potato are like this.
I
you know? I feel like we have a lot.
asked if Potato would be available for today because I think I said to Potato, a personal friend of mine, Big Potato is. I said you are going to love Nostalgia Tash.
I feel like me and Potato got a lot in common.
You need to be here for this show, Tats. Please, will you be here for it to moderate because I need you to meet Tash. You're gonna love her.
Yeah.
So
Heather's is amazing.
I'm going to now make you face to face with something you may or may not have seen in some time. So here we go.
Oh.
Yes, I'm gonna zoom in here. Here it is.
I wonder. See, I thought maybe I kept this, but I went for a dig the other day, and I don't think I have it
Find
anymore.
Oh, part of me is actually thankful you didn't find it so that I could have this moment. Buy old toys of nostalgia and reminiscing. I need this for the show. This is a massive revelation and meeting once again. So, the next thing you want to bring up, I asked you what makes you nostalgic for video games, and you surprised me. You said Sabrina. I remember one on the Game Boy, and I remember one on PlayStation 1, and there's quite a few. And I was like, which one specifically? You were like, it was Tiger Electronics.
Yeah.
And I went, what? Tiger Electronics?
I didn't even know what that was. You were like, what game is it? I was like, I don't know what to tell you. It was like a built-in console, and I sent you a video, and you're like, so you knew, you're like, oh, Tiger Games.
Yeah,
I was like, your guess is as good as mine.
I know it's Tiger Games, and I scoured the internet and found this video of I've got to be honest with you, I don't want to say who it is, but a really obnoxious guy. Rather rude, so I've muted him. But he's playing this game, and I had to bring it back. It's the only thing I could find on it, really, except for the image I used for the coffee table.
Because I just remember, like, I remember being a kid, and, like, it's one of those things that, like, you're playing the game, but I don't think as a child I 100% knew what I was doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where, like, I don't think I read
this thing.
Yeah, because it's, like, there's only really, like, 2 or 3 mechanics, right? Where you're going back and forth, I think casting spells on people, picking stuff up, trying to go undetected, and then your boyfriend Harvey shows up and you have to dance with him, and because he doesn't know you're a witch. So I just remember, like, I remember playing this game and, like, being so into it, Like, I think somebody, like, my cousin was looking over my shoulder and I was like, yeah, and casting, I was like, oh, Harvey, gotta go dance with him, like, whatever, and being all like, oh, so, like, almost like, oh, this man is such an inconvenience to my spell casting, like.
Brilliant. The thing is that if you just showed me the screen and not the surrounding thing, I'd be like, what is going on? What is this? Like,
yeah.
Oh my god, as a kid I did not play the games as they were intended, says well, upside down, man, upside down.
Yeah, so, like, my basic interpretation of it is, because you are picking stuff up, and you are casting spells on people, and I don't know why.
So is that Sabrina at the bottom?
Yeah, so that's Sabrina at the bottom, and Salem's also at the bottom.
She never wore a skirt?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because the whole thing is this takes place at a school dance, so maybe she's like dressed up all pretty to like go to the dance with Harvey.
I'll forgive. Is that Salem that walks across the screen sometimes? If I'm correct?
Yeah, and then you can pick him up too, and I don't know if you get... It was one of those where I think there was lots you could do, but I wasn't quite sure as a child what got you points and what didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like, you try to do everything and like see what happens.
These things were notoriously difficult. I actually have... we probably won't see it, but I actually have the Angry Video Game Nerd video on standby, which just goes through a lot of these old Tiger games. There was a lot. So
did you have different Tiger games then?
I remember when I watched AVGN's video on it, and I was like, I definitely had one of these. I definitely had a wrestling one. I'm a big wrestling fan. And a kid growing up with WWF. I'm sure I had one. I remember it vividly. I remember Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior being on either side of the actual thing. I definitely remember playing this, and I could not find it. I found the image online of it, but it was slightly different from what I remember. I'm just thinking, was it a UK version? I don't know. Maybe it wasn't even Tiger. Maybe it was a knockoff sort of replica of a game.
You're like, was this a fever dream? That happens to me sometimes. I'm like, I swear to God this thing existed. And then you're like, but did it actually? Because you cannot find it anywhere on the internet.
Again, right? It's just, damn. This guy wrote this and said, full game, bad ending. So there's multiple endings to this game apparently as well.
That's very fascinating.
Maybe Harvey dumps you at one of them.
Because I wonder too, because my brother like is really into holding on to old Tekken things. So if I can't find it, I wonder if he has it. Go like, ask my brother. Like, do you have my obscure Sabrina game?
So did you watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the TV show?
I did a little bit.
You did a little bit. Oh, okay.
I don't think it was on. You know what? You know which one I remember the most? I actually remember the TV movie where she like goes on holiday and then she ends up like with a mermaid.
That's
like there's
right.
a mermaid. I just remember there's a mermaid in the bathroom. That was another thing that was really big in the early 2000s. Everyone was into mermaids.
Oh, well, interesting. They're coming back around, I think.
That was like adjacent to like, you know, the dolphin marine biology phase. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. A lot of Free Willy come out, didn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, so I remember the TV movie a lot. I think I actually had it recorded on VHS. Like I actually recorded it from the TV so I could rewatch it. And then the other thing too, so you know, it reminded me when you played the Archie's Weird Mysteries intro, because it's the same art style as the Sabrina the animated series.
Right, okay. I never really got to see the animated show or this new version of Sabrina that's out there on Netflix.
Yeah, the new one, again, the CW gritty dark version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I say that, Nickelodeon used to run it here. And they used to do these amazing events that I loved, where you got to vote or text on what you wanted to see next out of 2 options. So it was awesome. It'd be like, okay, you get to vote now over the course of the next program if you want to see Kenan and Kel or Rugrats. Yeah. And then people would vote, and then the next program from the previous vote would go on, and then the winner of that vote you get to see. Oh, I love the concept, except that if Rugrats or Sabrina the Teenage Witch was in the vote with anything else, it would win. And I would get so angry. I'd be like, for God's sake, why does this always win? What is the point of having a vote? It's always going to win, just put it on. Like,
I want to take out the middleman.
I want to see Kenan and Kel. I love that show. It never wins.
That's incredible.
So ironically, Sabrina would win the vote, or Rugrats would win the vote, and I go, here it goes.
Yeah.
That is a great reference there for Kenan and Kel fans. Thank you very much. I've peaked. So,
yeah, I think the thing too is, again, I like in Canada, at least for the longest time, like we just had like basic cable, and then also too, there was this thing where we had like the Canadian versions of like the Disney Channel and the Nickelodeon channel. So I didn't have Nickelodeon. We had this thing called YTV, and so they would play like Canadian shows that had sort of like the Nickelodeon vibe as well as Nickelodeon shows. Same with Disney. So there would be this thing called the Family Channel, and they would play like the Canadian sort of in that vein, but then also the Disney Channel stuff as well. So it wasn't until I was like in university that we actually got a Disney Channel.
Right. We had we definitely had the Disney Channel, and it would always show I loved it when it showed dinosaurs, you know, the program with the guys in the big green suits. It was kind of like a sitcom. But then it would play Home Improvement. I'd be like, never mind then.
Yes. So I think that was the reason too why like some of these shows because they were like syndicated but not really, you know what I mean, where it wasn't like, you know, the channel that would play Sabrina, like the American TV show or whatever, like we would get like either a rerun or it would be played like kind of randomly, so it wasn't like I knew every day that like this show would be on. It would be like channel surfing, oh, Sabrina's on, I'll watch it sort of thing.
So I'm assuming you had access to other devices for video games when you were young, because you obviously you have nostalgia for certain games, so I presumed you had access to them at the time.
Yeah, so because a lot of them, because my brother was more of the gamer and he's younger than me. And so our first console that he bought with his own money that we had in the house was the GameCube. And then, so it was the GameCube PS2 is where like our sort of gaming world started at home. Before that, it was renting at Blockbuster. So you could rent the N64 console and games at Blockbuster for the weekend. So we would rent those, and then we would play Pokemon Stadium, or we would play, you know, Super Mario Party or something like that.
Rental gangs, says Big Potato.
Yeah. So we used to do that all the time. And so, and then as well too, like computer games, we didn't like, you know, like you'd have like your stereotypical like childhood games, right?
Right.
So like, you know, I had like a typing game that I like played all the time,
Right,
or
okay.
you'd get, you know, the ones in the cereal boxes.
Right,
so they
yeah.
were always like
Snake
they
on
were
your phone,
always
that kind of thing.
yeah, like the video game versions of like board games. So we had like
Yeah.
Game of Life on the computer.
Oh yeah,
or
the
we
house
had,
played Game of Life. Quite a lot,
yeah, things like that, because we got those in the cereal boxes.
Right,
and so
gotcha.
it wasn't until, yeah, like I think we were a bit older
Mhm.
that then it was like, okay, video games are a thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, because I played a lot of like, you know, like the Barbie computer games. Like I had like a
Right.
Barbie fashion designer program, or like I was really jealous. My friend at her house had like a Barbie hair designer game that I always wanted to play when I went over to hers, because she had more video like computer games than we did.
I had this Magic School Bus game where you go to different planets, as people say.
That's
"Ooh."
incredible.
Magic School Bus didn't really break into the British side of things, but we were always aware of it as an American
Really?
institution.
Yeah.
Honestly, my Magic School Bus was not a thing here, but it's one of those things that sort of is mentioned and is known
I
by
was gonna
American
say you missed out.
things. But we had play days, which was probably the equivalent. And play
I was gonna
days
say,
used to be a thing
you
where you
didn't have Bill Nye the Science Guy either, did you?
No, we didn't. I was introduced to Bill Nye much later in life, just through obviously learning about the
Yeah.
world and what is real and fact.
Yeah.
You know, that's and I love his shows. I've
Mhm.
going back and seeing them was fantastic. So yeah, with video games. So for you, when you do your nostalgia trips, on the Friday streams usually. Guys, if you're not following Tash, I would say go follow Tash, because you not only is there arts and crafts throughout the week, cross stitch, felting. I'd never seen felting before until I came to Tash, and then I was like, please don't stab yourself.
Yeah.
The next time I see her, she's got a tape on her finger
Yeah.
and a glove, and I'm like, you did, didn't you?
It's always a good day when I don't stab myself during needle felting streams.
But then on the Friday, you would play nostalgic games, and I
Yeah.
would be just, what are you playing this? Oh, this is brilliant. It was like Pop Idol was one. What was the game where you were like trying to run a music business? You were a band, sorry.
It was the Cheetah Girls.
Cheetah Girl, yeah, you go. I just loving
Which
it.
I didn't even know existed. I knew, because obviously that was when I was in my DCOM phase, my
That's
Disney
right.
Channel original movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so the Cheetah Girls, I didn't even know
Cheetah
that they
Girls.
had Cheetah Girl video games. I just knew of the movie.
I love this. Nightmare Before Christmas, a game that I never even heard of, and it was a Metroidvania. I'm like, oh my word, I need to check out this game. Like, this is great, fantastic content. So I do recommend going to follow Nostalgia Tash. You will not be disappointed with what you get. But yes, my era has always been PlayStation up until recently, and then it was PC. So I had a Sega when I was very much a little one. So video games have always been sort of a part of my life in some aspects, of course. But I suppose you weren't really into the video game scene. Is that fair to say?
No, I say, like, and I even think now the only reason I know as much about video games as I do is because of the people in my life. Like, I feel like I've married a gamer.
Oh,
you know, like
I
that's sort of
see.
more what it
Right,
is.
yes.
So, like, my partner, he's one of 4 boys, and he's like the second oldest.
You say he's the same age as me, so he's probably had
Yes,
similar.
yeah, say 89,
sort of,
and then
yeah.
he has an older brother who's 3 years older than him.
Gotcha.
So they would have, you know, like the old, you know, the Sega or the
Mhm.
Genesis and whatever. The other thing too, though, is that his stepdad is a lifelong gamer. So
Oh,
they've
I
literally
was gonna say,
had. So that was the thing. So he grew up
Mhm.
with like a person who was very into those things. So he, you know, there were consoles that he didn't have. You know, when he was a child, he
Right.
was exposed to consoles like the initial, like original
Right,
Sega,
yeah.
the original whatever, all these different things.
I
And so
had
they're like, oh, do you remember this game? I'm like, buddy, my gaming history starts at GameCube. Like, that's it. I don't know.
Disney Dreamlight is first. What are your favourite
handheld
GameCube games? What were your favourite GameCube games? Says Big Potato.
Ooh, GameCube games. So, I think Super Smash Bros. Melee. I think that was the GameCube
Standard,
one. So
standard.
me and my brother used to play that one all the time, and I would only play as ice climbers because I wasn't a very good gamer. And so, you know, usually, you know, if one ice climber fell, you still have the other one in the game. I think people might call that a very cheap move, but like that was how I could roll.
Wow. That's great. That's a great party game as well to get
Yeah.
you into sort of video games.
And then I think too as well, this was more PlayStation, but we played a lot of like Super Mario Party. So like
that
various
Super Mario Party wouldn't have been on PlayStation, I would say.
no. There were different there were Mario Party whatever,
Yeah.
Mario Party.
But that would have been on Nintendo as well. Yeah.
Okay, it would have been Nintendo. Yeah.
I love Mario Party Says Potato. Oh, you're finding awesome to
so
see.
Mario Party. And then I think, again, I get confused whether or not they were GameCube games or PlayStation games, because
Okay.
they sort of are a bit mutually exclusive to me.
I can tell you that Mario would definitely be a Nintendo only because it's owned by Nintendo.
Right, yeah. Actually, so there's one, so I don't know. I tried to ask my brother which one. I was like, yo, I'm doing this nostalgic podcast. Do you remember which Mario Party
I see.
we played? And he was like, I don't know. It was probably like whatever. Because basically it was like, I don't know how old I was, but I was old enough that my parents let me and my brother stay home for March break and play, you know, I got to watch him. So I must have been like 12 or something like that, right? So like we were maybe like 12, 11 or like, you know, 11, 10, that sort of a thing.
Mario Party 4
And
Says Potato.
Okay, possibly then. And so, you know, we tried and true. So basically what we decided one day, as I think we didn't own this one, so we rented it from Blockbuster. And you know how you can play, when you arrange, you like pick a world, right? I think there's like 6 different maps. And so there were 6 different maps, and then you could play, you know, 10 rounds, 10 minutes.
Right,
You
yeah.
could like pick the amount.
Mhm.
So we decided for some reason that we were going to play every single map 20 minutes. So the max amount you could play each round. And basically my mom went to work in the morning. We started playing Mario Party, and she came home and we were still playing Mario Party. And to the point where, like, you know, we had our lunch break. So I used to always make my brother, like, he would have Kraft mac and cheese and I would have Chef Boyardee, like raviolis. Because those are the things you could microwave. So I would make, you know,
gotcha.
I would make him, you know, microwave lunch, make myself microwave lunch, and we'd get right back
I
in.
love that
and
prep.
we decided.
That's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like a
Keep it going.
core memory of us, like, even looking at each other being like, this was the dumbest thing we could have done. We just, like, played probably for like 6 hours straight, just Mario Party all day. And my
That's
mom was
fantastic.
like, you guys can't do that anymore.
And now the 12-hour stream is coming from Sasha.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, honestly, like, I will Twitch stream for a couple hours, and I'm like, I don't know how, my eyes, like, go.
Well, did you say ice climbers?
Yes.
Yes. That sounds very chilly. Speaking of looking and feeling chilly, take a look at this. That is the best segue I've done tonight by far. As soon as she said ice climbers, I was like, ooh, I've got something there. The ice climbers are my least favourite to play. Forget the ice climbers now, we've done the transition. So,
come on, keep up, friends.
What you're seeing here, but not hearing, is the music of choice you have chosen tonight. And to finish us off here, with your nostalgic pick for music, S Club, and going to show you how. S Club, something 7.
Ain't no party like an S Club party.
Exactly.
Oh,
there ain't no
that's
party
not
like a
the
Mario
song.
party. I could have done that transition as well. That was,
You could have done
I
that
could have done that
transition
one.
too.
Yeah, I wish I knew them better. Now, so S Club 7 and this song in particular, Never Had a Dream Come True, is the music. And a lot, I think, I wanted to leave this till last because music, I think, is the best source of nostalgia. Okay, because we often reminisce with, when we think of things, we think of smells can trigger flashes of imagery, and music definitely, audio. And so this must bring you back to such a big period of your life that just encapsulates. Because these music, once music arrives, it stays and permeates for a long while. So it covers a long period of time. So tell us why you've chosen S Club 7, Never Had a Dream Come True, as your music of choice.
So there's multiple reasons why this song is like the GOAT nostalgia song for me. First of all, this was like one of my forays, because they're British, right? This is one of the forays. There's very few, you know, like quintessential 2000s British bands that sort of came across the pond. And my introduction to a lot of these British bands was through this thing called YTV's The Hit List. So I told you YTV was sort of like the Canadian Nickelodeon. And so they did basically like a kid's version of like TRL or of like, was like Top of the Pops, is that like your countdown sort of thing?
Top of the Pops was late evening for the charts, but I think what you're talking about is we had a thing called Smash Hits, I think, on
Okay.
ITV, which was more child orientated. So it would have been on like end of children's television shows. So like Nickelodeon, say, would have that sort of program on. So I think
Yeah,
it's probably
did you
more
ever
like that.
have though like a TRL or like an MTV like countdown where it was like these are the top 15 or the top 100 songs of the week or
Both
something
of those
like
would have done those charts. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So this was that, but like the sort of more kids version
Yes.
of that. So they
Okay,
would be like
gotcha.
the top 25, and they would play at like I don't know, like 6 p.m. in the evening.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of these British bands was how I
Right.
got introduced to that, because a lot of them like they wouldn't have, because some of them like were more one-hit wonders. So like ones like Blue, for instance, was another
wow,
one that like
okay.
only had like a song. Atomic Kitten.
Oh, wow.
all these.
It's
yeah.
so because to me, like, I didn't even know these even made it over the pond. Yet for me, they had loads of hits. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's the thing,
But,
right? So,
yeah.
like, I remember we went to this thing and everyone's like, yeah, all these songs. Oh, Five as well.
Oh,
I know
yeah,
two
no, okay,
Five
fair enough.
songs.
Five was the same here as well. One hit wonder.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was really, so this was one of the main ones. And I was
Okay.
so obsessed with S Club 7. I don't know what it was
Right.
about them. I just thought they were the coolest band ever.
Did
I
you
used to,
know-
because
did
they
you-
had like a TV show at one
I was
point,
about
like,
to say, did you know they
Yeah.
had their own
They
television
had
show?
a few, but the thing
Yeah.
was, I never got to see the whole thing. I think one time
Oh.
I couldn't sleep and I woke up really, really early and turned on Much Music, which was like our MTV in Canada, and the show was on. And it was like a once in a blue moon thing that I was like, this is incredible. I need to try to find this. And I remember trying to wake up early enough to try to catch this, because they wouldn't play it like randomly syndicated. It was like on random times of the day. So I never got to watch the whole thing, but my friend actually here in the UK has a VHS tape of one of the S Club 7
wow.
TV shows,
Oh, that's
and I'm
great.
like, I want to watch it so bad.
My S Club, to me, I associate with the band Steps. They came out around the same
Yep.
time, had the same kind of ensemble group of men and women, and they sang very similar songs. I
Yeah.
would say S Club was a little bit more partying, higher,
Yeah.
faster tempo.
I
faster
remember
beats,
my
but-
mom really liking S Club 7 with me because she's a big fan of like 70s disco, and
Ah,
I
that
feel
would
like
make
they
sense,
were
yeah.
a bit sort of like new age disco in a way.
Right.
Like a lot of their songs had a bit of that element to them.
The now a lot of people here in the UK, when you say S Club 7, they go, yes, I remember this song, I remember that song. If you're a geezer, you're probably gonna talk about Rachel Stevens, because
Yes.
she became quite the sex symbol here,
Yes.
especially for young adults in their adolescence, right?
Because she was the one who had really the only successful solo career out of all of them.
Well, she was the only one to really have a solo career out of
Yeah.
all of them. But mainly that was because, like, she was sort of the one they put on the posters, because she had a sexual connection with a lot of the young adults that
She was the hot
transcended the
one,
music,
and
yeah.
then Joe was the singer.
She was the singer, yeah, absolutely. But no one cared, because that's
No,
that's the
yeah,
problem.
Rachel
That's-
was like the poster child, even
Yeah.
though. But
That's
yeah,
right.
so the other thing too is, so I think I've explained this before. Before I became, crafty little forest goblin like I am, growing up growing up in like the 2000s, in that like kind of bubblegum pop age, so like
Right.
the Britney Spears and the Hilary Duff and like all of that, before I transitioned into like my pop punk phase in like high school, I wanted to be a pop star. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be that. So
well, you've got a good voice. I've seen you on Pop
Oh,
Idol.
thank you. Yeah, so I grew up, like, I think the first, like, we used to have talent shows in our primary school.
Oh, right, okay.
And so from the third grade until, like, the 7th grade, I sang in the talent show every single year. And so in the 4th grade, I sang Never Had a Dream Come True.
Wow.
And I sang it again at my 8th grade graduation, because we graduated at 8th grade before we went into high school. We didn't have like a middle school. And I remember I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had my 2 friends be backup dancers for me performing this song. And so I think my 4th grade teacher let us stay in during recess and practice choreographing
Wow.
a song
That's brilliant.
to this, so then I could audition with this.
That's
And
fantastic.
I remember getting annoyed with them though, because there's a line in the song that says like "You'll always be my baby," right? And it's like this really, "You'll always be," whatever. And so they used to go, "You'll always be my baby,"
Oh,
and so they used to do that, and I'd be like, "You
No.
can't do that! Like you can't make a." You can't make a mockery of my performance.
Oh
no!
Oh no!
They didn't do it during the performance.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm
They
glad.
didn't, but they were like
Top tier
taking the
friends.
mic. And then I was like, no, because I took it so seriously. And I
Mhm.
think the reason too, because Joe has such this powerful voice,
does,
and there's
yeah.
this like, it's like this ballad. Because you used to think too, right? This is around the time like American Idol was
That's
like
right,
really
it was,
big,
yeah,
and like
it's
Pop Idol and stuff.
blew up,
And I
right.
used to always think like, what song would I audition with
Right.
that's gonna like cause me to be discovered and make me famous or whatever.
Yep.
And so, little third grade Tasha was like S Club 7.
Just imagine
Because it's like,
Little Soul singing The Bright Side of Life from what
Yeah.
the X Factor. What are you doing? Instead of whistling, he goes do 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 do.
yeah. Yeah. And then, because the thing with this song, right, is like this really powerful ballad, but then there's like a bridge where she like really hits it and does this like, powerful, like, no.
That's
and it's like
right,
her
yeah.
crazy, like, power. And then there's a key change too. And I freaking love songs with key changes.
Oh.
I don't know what it is. It's like something about like a transition that I'm just like, yes, key change. It like sounds
That
really
might
epic.
be why you like my segues tonight, then.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, yeah. So S Club 7 that encapsulates a lot of time. They were around
Yeah.
for quite a few years. They survived quite a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm sure they must have had reunions and reformed at some point.
I think
right?
they had one. I remember there's a really cringe version of it on YouTube. I think Tops of Pops. They had like a reunion.
Top of the pops.
Oh, one of those,
Tops
and
of Pops.
it's
Oh,
very cringy.
Oh, right.
It's one of those where like I like to remember them as they were, maybe
yeah,
not
absolutely.
as they are.
I can understand
Because as
that.
well, when I first moved here, there was like this That's So 90s like sort of like open air festival thing that I got to go to with a bunch of my friends. And one of the things was S Club 7 was going to be there. But of course,
Oh.
a bunch of them are off doing their own things now. So it was S Club 3. So there were 3 members left. There was Bradley, Joe, and
Oh,
Tina.
I love that. S Club 3. Did they call themselves S Club 3?
They did. They called themselves S Club
well
3.
Done.
They
I
called
love
it, and then
that.
of course too. I don't know if you remember, there was a time where the next wave of S Club happened, and there was S Club Juniors.
There was because one of them
Yeah.
ended up growing up to be in that other band that got big, and I can't. Is it the Saturdays?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Well done, sir.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, she grew up to be she was in the Juniors and she grew up to be in the Saturdays. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that. And I like the
'cause
Saturdays. They're good band.
Yeah, because so I got to see S Club 3
Wow.
in concert. This was obviously like, and now though, I think Joe has left, and now they actually have recruited, I guess, whoever the best singer from the Juniors was.
Oh,
so now
got ya.
it's Tina, Bradley, and some Juniors girl that now travel as like S Club. So, yeah.
It's like
I think,
S Club 2.5.
yeah, honestly. And then I'm like, does that mean do they perform like S Club Junior songs, or do they just perform S Club 7 songs? Like, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I like to remember them as they were.
I totally agree with the idea of wanting to remember them as they were. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of proceedings tonight. We've come to the end of this trip down memory lane. We've covered so much, from the Beanie Babies in the fridge, because I didn't know anywhere else to put them. I didn't want you to just have this blank fridge above my head. I didn't want to put the Quaker Oats in there. That would have been weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, cold oats.
Yeah, the cold oats. And then from the Archie comics to Spree the Teenage Witch on that Tiger Electronics. We didn't get to touch on Degrassi, I believe, was so Degrassi was the TV show of your choice, but unfortunately we ran over time.
Yes.
Do you want to give us a
Oh, we can have a whole hour of conversation about Degrassi if you want me to come
back.
back.
What is that? I've never seen. I would love to have you back on the show, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what on
I
earth
guess-
is Degrassi?
In a nutshell, Degrassi is basically like the Canadian version of Skins. So you know the TV show,
yes.
The Skins.
I remember Skins, yeah.
So it's the Canadian version of that. And so it's like, you know, it's all about a bunch of teenagers in middle school, high school, and it's one of those where every single bad thing that could ever occur in a high school seems to happen there. I'm sure it's very similar in Skins, but it also launched the career of Drake. So Drake was an actor in Degrassi. So was, if you ever watched the revamp of 90210. So like the 2000s version, Shanae Grimes, she was on there. Nina Dobrev, who went on to be famous in Vampire Diaries.
Wow.
So it launched some
loads of careers. Yeah, it's like a launching pad there. That's interesting. I never heard of it until you had brought it up for this, and I was looking into it and thinking it's definitely not my thing. But I could see why, maybe at that time, it would be sort of a thing that you would watch in those years. Absolutely. So all that is left for me to say is, Nostalgia Tash, thank you so much for joining us and taking us on this trip through your history, your past, and showing us so many great things. We are going to raid out, hopefully, to Naomi Dreams, if she's still on by the time we actually finish. But there is one thing I want to do before we actually leave, and I want to bring up the time here. There is another reason I wanted to have this at the end, because, ladies and gentlemen,
oh my god,
it's time. Oh yes, here we go.
Are you gonna sing it?
I am.
Excellent.
Oh no.
Oh no, come on.
Oh dear. Everybody's got something they had to leave behind. One regret from yesterday that just seems to grow with time. There's no use looking back or wondering how it could be now or might have been.
I need a
All
lighter.
this I know, still I can't find ways to let you go. I never had a dream come true till the day that I found you. Even though I pretend that I've moved on, you'll always be my baby. I never found the words to say. You're the one I think about each day. And I know no matter where life takes me to, a part of me will always be with you. We're doing the whole thing.
Yes!
Somewhere in my memory, I've lost all sense of time. And tomorrow can never be, 'cause yesterday is all that fills my mind. There's no use looking back or wondering how it should be now or might have been. All this I know, but still I can't find ways to let you go. Never had a dream come true till the day that I found you. Even though I pretend that I've moved on, you'll always be my baby. I never found the words to say. You're the one I think about each day. And I know no matter where life takes me to, a part of me will always be.
The part, kill it.
It'll always be the dream that fills my head. Yeah.
Come on, this is the part.
It'll always be the one I know I'll never forget. Oh, it's no use looking back or wondering. This love is a strange and funny thing. No matter how I try and try, I just can't say goodbye. That was awful. Oh, it's no. Never had a dream come true till the day that I found you. Even though I pretend that I've moved on, you'll always be my baby. I never found the words to say. You're the one I think about each day. And I know no matter where life part of me will always be a part of me, will always be with you.
Yay! Woohoo!
Oh, there we go. Oh dear. Surprised you with that, didn't I?
I love when you serenade me.
Oh my word, there
We're
we go.
2 for 2 now.
We are, yes, it's only fair. It's only fair that you've got to see.
I love making you sing 2000s ballads, nostalgic ballads to
Literally,
me
when you sent
by
me the
pop
options,
icons.
When you sent me the options for this, I was thinking, well, I know I'm doing it last because I'm going to sing it. So, what was the other ones you had? Believe by Cher, that was the runner-up because I would have loved to have done that. Autobiography by Ashley Simpson, that was the album. So I was
Yes.
like, oh, and then the Veronicas, The Secret Life of, and I didn't know really either of those well enough to even pick a song from. But yeah, it would have been Shirley. But there you go.
Oh, Believe would have been good too. That's mine and my friend's bowling song.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting us here tonight. I know it was a bit weird, it's a bit different. For new people that don't know that I do these shows, I really appreciate you coming out and checking me out, these kind of things. I have another event coming up in a couple of weeks, a version of the Frolics that we've never actually done before. It's a little bit different. And then we're taking a break in December because I've got my birthday stream and a Christmas stream. Yes, it's all coming up. So that's in December, and then in January we'll have new shows with more wonderful guests, just like our guest here tonight, Nostalgia Tash. Thank you so much for joining me for the show. It's been absolutely
I
amazing.
hope people love this show so that you have more guests on, and so I can learn about everyone else's nostalgia, because I love it.
Yeah, oh excellent. I'm so glad. I hope you like the structure. I hope you like the room. If we have other guests on the show, you might find that this room somewhat stays the same, and yet might look slightly different because it sort of manifests depending on who walks through the door. We are now going to go over and raid Naomi Dreams, who I hope is still on after the. I think they are. We're going to go over. If we end up nowhere, that's okay.
Just floating through the ether.
Yes, that's all right. We had a good time. There's the raid message for you. I know. Start the raid. So all that it is left for me to say is thank you once again for you, the audience, for being here. I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. And of course, to the wonderful we're going to Naomi, the wonderful Naomi. We're doing the wonderful. I can't get words out. The song has taken me.
Words are hard. Yeah, that song took so much emotional power from you.
The wonderful Nostalgia Tash. Thank you, Big Potato. There it is. This was great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow. We're back to the usual schedule with a brand new game of Lancelot 3. This will be up on YouTube, so please do, if you're not subscribed to YouTube, go check it out there, because you get to see this back, hopefully without any mutes, but we'll find out. Maybe my singer was too good. Nevertheless, I'm going to go to the end stream and then we're going to go over the raid, so until then, farewell everyone, let's say goodbye. Say goodbye. We're going off in 3, 2, 1, bye.